This morning we're going to begin 4 or 5 lessons on Moses. And Moses is an archetype for the deliverance that God offers to people trapped in sin. And so the first thing I want to talk with you, we're going to talk about his call. We're going to talk about the deliverance. We're going to talk about his leadership. We're going to talk about the 10 Commandments. So we're going to spend a few weeks looking and talking about how he hands off the baton to Joshua. So this week is his call. And the story is really very simple. He was saved by God for a purpose, set apart, and chosen. His mother puts him in a basket, and he ends up in Pharaoh's house, and he's high up in Pharaoh's court, and then he commits a murder, and because of that, he gets a lot afraid of what's going to happen to him, and he runs away. So we're in his run away from everything phase of his life, and so he's out hiding as a shepherd, far away from where he's supposed to be. And God reaches down out of heaven and gets a hold of him. And so his response to this is very much, I think, what most people do when God tries to reach into their lives and transform them. So here's the call is Moses, Moses. God calls out his name not once, but several times. And Moses, of course, doesn't know what it is because he's not accustomed to speaking to God. And then when he realizes that it is God, and God tells him what he wants him to do, I want you to deliver my people from Pharaoh, he realizes he's got to go back and face his fears. He doesn't want to do that. So his first response, if you look at the text, you can see there's a sequence of responses. And the first one is about himself. He tries to convince God that he's not worthy. Who am I that you would call me? And God says, well, I'm allowed to call you because what I want to do is not about you. It's bigger than that. And so he begins to try to help Moses to understand that he needs to get out of his own way here so that God can do what God wants to do. And the second thing he says, he tries to put it off like Teflon. He tries to put it off onto the people. He says, well, suppose they don't listen to me. Suppose they don't want to listen. And God says the same thing. Well, that's not up to you. You just do what you're told. And so that gets taken care of. And suppose something happens? What if this? What if that? How about this? And he goes through this whole sequence of excuses for not facing his fears. And I think that's really the first lesson that I wanted to share with you about spiritual journey. As we look at Moses, it's very, very important that we face our fears. And that we do that because, especially our deepest fears, because if we don't turn and face those, they're always kind of residing within us, waiting to rear their heads. And we have to trust. And we really trust the most when we're facing our strongest fears. And so that's really the point of this story is Moses he's got to turn and face this. If God's going to use him and the things that are the story that lies ahead, Moses got to get over this. He's going to have to trust God enough to face Pharaoh. And so that's the first thing about spiritual transformation from this story that I want to share with you is if there's something that is holding you back, turn and face it, not in your own strength, but in God's strength. Trust God, and God will bring you victory. You all have a great day.